Hey everybody, and welcome back to Omnitrix Radio, your favorite Ben 10 watch-along podcast. I'm your host, Demigloom, joined as always by the other host, Riely. What up, Riely?
My name is Riely, and I'm here to say...
No, I thought we weren't doing that again.
What?
My name is Riely, and I'm here to say... No, it's over. Jover.
What do you mean?
We don't do that anymore, okay?
We don't do what?
I just said it.
What? What is this bit you're doing?
Stop doing that. My name is Riely, and I'm here to say... That's not funny. It's over.
I don't do that. I never do that.
You used to do that all the time.
This is the first time I've done this.
No! You did that like 3 times on Brony Initiation.
Okay, maybe it's not the first
And
time I've
Kira's
done it
Kingdom.
ever, but it's the first time I've done it in a long enough time that I don't recall.
You consistently do this on watch-along podcasts throughout your career.
Well, you know what, Demi? I'm here to say fuck you, bitch.
All right. So, what did Ellie say this time?
Ellie deleted her entire internet presence this time instead of leaving a comment.
Yes, and with Ellie, the show dies. I think the show dies with her, right?
No. I don't think that's true.
I'm pretty sure we said that once on an episode.
We might have said that, but I was not serious.
I was not serious.
Well, Demigloom, we had to get through Ultimate Alien.
Oh my god. I don't even want to get through Ultimate Alien.
Listen, I think we feel the opposite because Demigloom now is trying to convince me to end the show. Meanwhile, I'm in my mind like, is it time to just make the show weekly again? Because the Demi and the Goons show did not go well, I don't think.
It went well number-wise.
Well, yeah, because it was on Demi and the Goons. Like what? It got 100 views. That's not that big of a deal on the Demi and the Goons channel.
It doesn't matter how big of a deal it is relative to the content on the channel it's on. What matters is that we have a show and we expect a certain amount of people to listen to it.
I think my main criticism with it was that our whole point was to make a Riely and Demigloom show, and then we just started letting a bunch of other people in.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have done that. It should not have been the Demi and the Goon show. It should have been the Demi and Riely show.
I think we should just,
Even if we keep calling it the Demi and the Goon show for branding purposes, we should just not let anybody else on unless it's planned. Like we could have a planned guest, but not just let people in.
Yeah, I think we wanted to do a show when we did a live stream. We did a bullshit live stream.
It's fine that it's a live stream. We can do a show and have it
right.
We
could do a show and have it live, but it wasn't really a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we just kind of
a live show and just
and
a bullshit
just
stream.
Let people in and just had a bullshit stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were yeah, let's let Jason in, and then fucking Black Croc wanted to join, and I wanted him to join because he's cool, and then you let Squeebo in against my instructions.
Listen, because if we were gonna let Black Croc in, we had to let Squeebo in. Okay.
I don't think that's true. The Black Croc is making the Breaking Bad DS video game. He's contributing a lot to our community. What is Squeebo the Last contributing to our community?
Keeping me alive.
Well, yeah, I guess that is good, but that's not a podcast.
I guess Demigloom being alive is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good,
I think we should just take every other Wednesday off.
No.
Okay, here's the thing. I do not want to edit visuals for another show, another weekly show.
Don't edit visuals for another weekly show.
So I can do maybe
we could do a podcast and not edit visuals.
Maybe we should just do the Demi and Riely show.
I think so. Or we could just do this every week, because this is basically just the Demi and Riely show. And also we talk about...
Yeah, but I don't want to have to do more visual editing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was the whole point of the conversation. I'm a little bit tired.
I mean, it's not like I would kill myself over it, but it's definitely... I definitely don't want to have to edit this all the time.
Yeah,
especially
with
I got the MoCast, Middle School GSA, and basically 2 podcasts a week I have to edit visuals for, because I have 2 shows that are every other week and one that's every... Well, I guess the MoCast isn't even really weekly anymore.
I mean, it's pretty much weekly. Just because we've missed a couple of weeks in the past little while does not mean it's not a weekly podcast.
It's 3 weeks every... It's 3 weeks a month a MoCast comes out.
I need to remember to publicize the MoCast because I have not done
Yeah,
that for the show that you the show you finished like 10 days ago.
Yeah, I'm just collecting my check and taking a look at the fruits of my labor. That is the satisfaction of knowing the podcast is out, and it's just not there. It's like, what the fuck, Riley? Like, I get a notification that a new MoCast came out. I'm like, what the fuck? There hasn't been a MoCast in like a month, and it's like, oh, it's the MoCast
Riley
that came
just
out a
put the
month
one
ago.
out. I also
You do
have a
that with
problem
this show,
where
too.
whenever I sit down and to post the MoCast, I don't remember anything that happened on the MoCast, so I can't title and descript it.
Aren't you just like super high every MoCast now?
No, I'm just super tired every MoCast now.
I really think the MoCast is a good show, if I'm being totally honest.
I really think so too.
Like, normally, like, I just kind of, I don't know, like, I'm gonna just be real, man. Like, when I see, like, oh yeah, random Riley podcast, I'm like, yeah, it's probably shitty. You know what I mean?
That's rude. That's
any
mean.
listen, any issue crew adjacent product, I just assume is kind of shitty. You know what I mean? But
Don't
I've
say
started.
that about the
Listen,
issue
hey,
crew.
let me finish, okay?
Okay.
I'm slowly starting to realize that like that's not really the case anymore. There was definitely a time where that was the case, where fucking anything that went up on the mega feed was just shit. But it's not the case anymore. Like I think
What point was that? Like the entire
like when
time
I
you've
first
known the mega feed, it was like largest issue and Kira's Kingdom and like good shows.
I don't know about that.
Like I don't even think the Dickheads podcast was running by the time you knew me. I guess that's probably that's like
I'm
the
pretty
shovel
sure
that's the shovelware of the Riley podcast universe
yeah.
is the Dickheads podcast.
I think the largest issue was the only thing on there actually. Like the only active
There
show on
was
there
a
when I
large
was
swath of time where largest issue was the only active show on that feed.
yeah. Well, Kira's Kingdom started like well after I knew you.
Yeah. It's like
Like I was
there were
already
times where it was only largest issue, and then like a new project would start, and like a new project would end, and it would just be largest issue again. Like
yeah.
the mega feed had arcs.
Weren't you gonna bring back Kira's Kingdom? Wasn't that gonna happen?
Yeah, and then we had trouble finding the Death Note J drama, but I think I found it now in a place where it actually works. So hopefully Kira's Kingdom should be coming back soon. I also have to set up a new feed for it. And I'm not looking forward to having to download and upload 41 podcasts.
Oh, you talking about the old ones?
Yeah, because if I do a new Kira's Kingdom feed, I have to post all the old episodes. So,
I thought this was gonna be like the Kira's Kingdom reboot.
well, no, it's still we're still keeping the episode numbers.
Okay.
We did well. The Simpsons one was a bonus episode, and then episode 41 will actually occur when we start the J drama.
I think you should just keep it at 41.
Every episode is episode
Yeah.
41.
Yeah, exactly.
41-A, the 41-B.
Exactly. Part 1 out of 9.
That might be our best title on this podcast.
Azimuth versus. We should have just not even named it Omnitrix Radio, just named it Azimuth versus Hitler, full fight, 1 out of 9, and then just made the thumbnail like some shitty like Photoshop, like Azimuth facing off against Hitler.
We probably should have done that.
We probably
That
should have
would've
done
been
that, and
funny.
then people would have clicked on it, and then it would be, oh, it's a stupid podcast.
Oh, it's a fucking Ben 10 podcast. Yeah.
You know, I've become what I've sworn to destroy because I used to fucking hate clickbait, like, you know, algorithmic exploitation. I used to hate people who were desperate for clicks and would just like, you know, basically manipulate people into clicking on their shit at any cost. But now I do that all the time. That's all I do. That's how I make money. You know why? Because numbers on screen go up when I do that. And when the
That's
numbers
true.
on screen go
the
up,
number
I
go
get
up,
more money.
and you obtain more money as a result.
The number of dollars, like who wouldn't? It's like saying it's okay. You can
Have
push
you even
this
gotten
button.
Have you gotten a payout from Debbie and the Goons yet?
No, they don't.
It's
pay you.
every $100 is when you get paid.
Yeah, and I have like $88 right now. We're getting pretty close.
Getting close to your first Demi and the Goons payout.
First and last, probably, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long time before I get. Because most of that $88 was from when like every Breaking Bad OST got like 10,000 views at least, and now all my other uploads used to get like 3,000 or 4,000 views, and the Breaking Bad ones would get anywhere between like 10 and 30K. And now my Breaking Bad uploads get like 2K, and anything else gets like 600 views.
The Demi and the Goons channel is at a decline, I think.
Yeah, me and Croc were actually talking about this, how I could like probably or how I could try to like preserve, because like I have the 2K subs, you know what I mean? So I have people who I have the feeds that I'll show up on. It's just a matter of getting people interested again. So I'm thinking about just doing like uh this was my first idea was to do like fake video essays about like those like lost media videos. There's like the canceled lost fucking
That's
Resident Evil GBA port. You know what I
the
mean?
stupidest idea I've ever
I'd be
heard in
like
my life.
the canceled Shark Boy and Lava game. Yes, it was real.
The
Or
canceled
like
Breaking Bad DS game.
yeah, exactly. Breaking Bad for DS, real game. I also need a Let's Play American Psycho for the DS. The whole game is like 15 minutes long. It's like super short, but it's actually really fun.
We do a Gamergate episode of American Psycho for the DS.
Yeah,
Let's go.
actually, like unironically, yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it.
Let's
Fuck it, we'll do
go.
it
I'm
live.
down.
Except you have to play it though, because I already played it.
I
Are you
can't.
willing to do that?
My OBS is broken.
Well, you play
It just
Pokemon games, right? Have
not recently because my OBS is broken.
you tried deleting it and re-downloading it?
Maybe it's like it refuses to record the desktop audio at any reasonable volume, no matter what I do. So like
Damn.
in like the last like month of unedited Let's Play Hellscape uploads, my co-hosts are like inaudible, and that's also the case of like anything else I recorded in OBS during that time,
Wow.
because it's just like it won't do it. It just like there's some weird arbitrary cap on desktop audio that just makes it impossible to correctly level the audio of myself and whoever I'm with in the call. So now if I
Have
want
you
to keep
tried just
making
like resetting all the settings? Is there
that,
like a hard reset?
that might be a good idea.
Because there could be some fucking stupid setting that you have on, or like some like weird like shit that you have, like some weird like filter you have on your input, like your mic input or something. I don't know. But like I've definitely had similar issues with like audio related software where for some reason like one leveling was just completely fucked, and the only way I've ever managed to like resolve it was just by resetting everything to default settings.
You might be onto something there. I really need to fix it because I want to get back to doing Hellscape. I want to get back to doing Big Guy Little Guy. And I want to get back to doing Gamergate, but I know you won't. But I do want that also still.
I'm I'm willing to consider possibly bringing back Gamergate
Let's
in
go.
some capacity under certain circumstances.
What
Hypothetically,
are the certain hypothetical circumstances?
one, I regenerate a certain amount of interest in my channel, and I upload Gamergates like in between. If I have something that I'm uploading consistently that gets views, I'll upload Gamergates in between them. How does that sound?
Okay, so you think the Gamergate will tank your channel further in its current state?
Yes, actually, but it'll also
I
be good
mean, I
motivation because I enjoy doing Gamergate. Like,
do
at
you?
least I did for
You
a
you seem to,
while.
you seem to pretty consistently say that you didn't actually.
It was going downhill for a while. You know what I mean? And I reached a point where I didn't enjoy it. But like in retrospect, I'm like looking back at some of those recordings. I actually rewatched some of the. I like looked back at some of them. I was like, you know what? That's not nearly as bad as I remembered. I could do this again.
Yeah, you were like really down on it for a while. Like even like I guess maybe the Pokemon videos weren't good sometimes, but like I think the Toy Story session was very good, which you didn't seem to agree with, at least at the time. I don't know how you feel now.
Yeah, those are some of the ones that I rewatched. I think I watched like two of like the first two of them. I don't know how the third one went. Or no, I think I watched the first one and the third one. I don't know. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But
You skipped the second episode. You're like, yeah, no, we're just going right to number 3.
well, I didn't like watch them like in order. I just like randomly watched them. Like when I'm trying to fall asleep is usually when I watch that kind of shit. Like watch my own shit. I watch
Yeah, I
something that I
gotcha.
don't give enough of a shit about. Cause like if I watch something I care about while I'm sleeping and I fall asleep during it, it's like devastating trying to find where I left off. But no, I
No,
actually kind of
I've had that
enjoyed.
experience. I had that experience like a couple times last week because I was like, or not last week. It was like when I was sick and right after, because like I had to retrain my body to not sleep all the time Because of course, when I was sick and I was suffering, I was actively trying to sleep all the time, so I wasn't suffering. So my body just like became used to getting like 17 hours of sleep, and I kept passing out at random intervals. And then I'd be like watching like a YouTube video or something, and I'd have to be like, fuck, and I'd have to like scroll through and figure out where I was. Usually I
The
don't do
worst
that.
thing,
Usually I have the wherewithal to like watch a YouTube video until like I'm ready to go to sleep and then turn it off and go to sleep. But that was not
usually
the case
if
when I had sick body.
usually if I want to fall asleep to something, I have to put on something long so I don't have to like pick up my phone and like switch the video after it's over. So it'll usually be like a podcast or like one of those like 4-hour video essays or some shit. And what sucks about that is most of the shit that I'm even remotely interested in at that length is something I actually really do care about and don't want to lose. And I pretty much just give up. There are like entire like, monumental debates in like online politics history that I just can't. I'll never have the full experience of having listened to them because I don't want to listen to them from the beginning. And I also do not even feel like trying to figure out where the hell I left off because I've tried so fucking hard to do that. And it's like it's because like that gray area because there's like when I'm like half asleep, I retain a little bit of it, and it's just so difficult to figure out where I left off.
That happens to me a lot with like TV shows where like I'll forget what episode I was on and I'll be like, I don't want to restart this show, but I also don't remember what episode I was on. So I guess I'm just never gonna watch it again.
Me with Naruto. That's literally me with Naruto. But yeah, we have Ben 10 to talk about. I thought that was what this podcast was.
No, that's about like 30% of what this podcast is, I think.
I think we're just accepting that we're like not trying to weaponize the algorithm or like get Ben 10 fans. We're just doing a show that we like now, I think.
Yeah. And that's the only thing you should do.
Maybe I'm a huge narcissist for this, but I genuinely like do this under the hope that someday people will give a shit about either you or me, and this will be like an old podcast that they can listen to. Cause like I'll listen, you know what I mean? Cause like listening to like an old Monkey Jones podcast for me, like from like before he like had like a huge fan base, is just like a really, really like interesting experience for me. And it's super fun to listen to just like super old podcasts from creators that I like.
Yeah, so someday when the issue crew is a big name in the industry,
Something tells me the issue
everybody
crew
can go
isn't gonna
back.
be. Something tells me the issue crew isn't what's gonna make us viral.
It's not what's gonna make us viral, but it's gonna be we will be the issue crew when we're viral. We're gonna go viral on our own, and then the issue crew is like our collective. The people are like, oh, these are these guys I like, and they're in a show.
Who in the issue crew do you think is gonna? Okay, so like if like God came, like just hopped in our issue crew VC and was like, one of you seven, one of the seven of you will be the chosen one to succeed at content. Who do you think it would be?
Jason.
Jason?
Yeah, maybe you, but like probably Jason.
Am I a narcissist again for
Are
thinking
you,
that
you're gonna
I'm?
say it's you?
I think it would probably. I think I just.
I think Jason makes better content than you
No. I think
on
no. Jason
mostly.
makes better content than me for sure. But I think I have. I think I just, as far as like the skill of like developing and maintaining an audience and just getting my voice out there, I think I'm better at that than Jason. And I think I'm more. I think the one. So if unfortunately, I think it's much harder for like a serious video essayist to go viral than it is for someone like me, like a provocateur, to go viral. Like I am just a walking controversy. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody just has strong opinions on me either way. Whereas with Jason's videos, it's just you kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy his content, which I personally think there's more artistic value in what Jason does than what I do, but I think what I do is much more likely to see numbers.
That might be a fair assessment. I think a lot of YouTubers like Jason do see numbers, but it's just like you gotta be really lucky,
Yeah. I
and you
think
have
he needs
to.
to I think what if he wants to like get numbers, he's gonna have to not just make videos about shit that he's passionate about, which is I totally I envy that he's able to do that, that he doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? That he's passionate enough about his videos that he's just not gonna make any sacrifices. But I think
That
he
he
would
just
have
makes
to.
these amazing videos about things he's passionate about for an audience of like 7 people. And they're like
a little
amazing
generous.
production value videos.
Yeah, and then I just pick like a trendy topic and rant about it for 4 minutes and develop a real audience. I'm not even gonna pretend that's the. I'm not even gonna pretend that's real.
Hey Demi, how's that video essay that you were gonna finish during Issue Crew like 5 weeks ago? Did that ever come out?
I scrapped it. It was actually a reaction video.
Why?
Not like not a reaction video. Like there's like me with a face cam. Like, hey guys, today we're going to be reacting. It was like like those videos where it's like just like playing somebody else's video and then it like cuts to gameplay and like, oh my god, so that's so fucking stupid. This guy was blah blah blah. Blah. You know those videos.
Yeah.
I was making one of those, and then I literally just realized it was too ambitious because I was reacting to a 13-minute video, and I got like I thought I was like had like a decent chunk done, and I was only like 3 minutes into that actual video. I was just like, holy shit, I can't do this. Very sad.
You didn't want to put the time in.
I didn't have like I just didn't have enough to say. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough points where I could just pause and like offer commentary.
That's fair enough.
Or at least in with any amount of integrity. Like I probably could have just bullshit my way through it, but like I wanted to make legitimate talking points.
You really need to just like make more main channel videos, Demigloom.
I'm kind of just experimenting right now. But yeah, you're right.
Experimenting with what? Making shitty Debbie and the Goons content and doing middle school GSA and not making main channel videos?
Well, like I basically start a script and throw it out like at least once a week at this point.
You gotta not throw them out so much.
I'm just waiting for like an actually good idea to come
Just
to my
make
head.
videos. Like even if they're not all 10 out of 10s, like you gotta develop some sort of consistency.
I think my issue is that
Like
making videos.
if you can come up with a script idea and write a script from beginning to end for a fucking 5 minute video essay, even if it's not like fucking God Jesus tier, just do it. Just make videos.
Well, I think the thing that's hard for me is that making visuals is so fucking tedious and monotonous. With my unconventional methods that like I don't even want to like put in the effort to edit something unless I feel like it's good.
Demigloom
But I have
edits her
to.
fucking videos in FL Studio.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm not even gonna lie. But I've been like fucking around with other video softwares. Not like I don't know enough yet to put out anything, but I'm trying.
I lost an entire video because Demigloom's editing software is so archaic that she just like couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, and I do feel really bad about that, despite being like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it." Like,
Yeah, but when it first happened, you were definitely like, "Fuck you, bro. I don't care, bitch."
yeah, because I was just like, okay, I'll just make a Demigloom video essay, but with Riely's audio. And he was like, oh yeah, by the way, I want you to like actually put effort into this and insert specific clips from the anime. I was like, fuck, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I just can't. Could not do it.
I just can't actually edit this.
Yeah, I can't actually. The thing is, like, for me, like, there's such strict parameters that I know how to work around with my editing software, but when other people
I
give
also
me
don't
ideas,
think there
they
was a
have like,
time where you ever offered to like make it your way. You were just like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it." Like we could have had a discussion that led to you making it in some form, but then you were just like immediately like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it at all."
listen, the past couple months, it's no secret that it's been a bit of an angry Demigloom arc lately. And what we know about angry Demigloom arcs is that they're usually followed pretty immediately by logical, friendly Demigloom arcs.
Are they?
Okay, so I'm either really angry. So I'm either like extremely angry with everybody and just like full blood sports, just fuck everything, just like super enraged all the time, or I'm just like super cucked and I'm just like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. No, I will not. I will not talk to Brad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I will
it's
not
kind of
have a
one or the
conversation
other.
with Brad about hamburgers.
It's either like I'm gonna fucking scream at Brad, or I'm just not gonna even do it. I gotta find a middle ground. I'm trying.
I'm gonna work on a video instead that never comes out.
Shut the hell up. We're doing
You
3
were so
episodes of Ben
confident you were
10.
gonna finish the video that night.
Yeah, I was. I think we both knew that it wasn't gonna happen. I don't think I was really confident. I think I was just saying that.
I mean, I didn't know what you were working on. I figured it was just a normal video essay. So I was like, yeah, maybe I will wake up to a new Demigloom video. Something that I actually look forward to and never get because she doesn't make videos for her main channel anymore. I like thoroughly enjoyed every video that's on your main channel, and I
Oh,
actively
really?
wait for more. Yeah.
Okay, well, just for you, I'll get to it.
Good. Glad. Now we're about 30 minutes in, and we have 3 whole episodes of Ben 10 to discuss.
Yeah,
And they're good ones too. So I think we might be here for a while.
they're all great. All three of them are great.
Yeah, this is a really solid string of episodes. So
I'm really
Demi,
liking this season, like much better than the last season already.
yeah, season 2 is just like an immediate like level of banger that season 1 achieved a couple times, but not as consistently.
Season 1 had like forgettable this hurts me to say, but I'd say like half of season 1 is like forgettable unless you're like a huge fan of Ben 10, which I am. But I think season 2, like each episode is just like I think they just figured, when they made season 1, they realized like which episodes were awesome and they're like we're just going to make all awesome episodes. They realized what worked and what I mean Ben 10 could take all of its shitty episodes and just release that. If all of the shitty episodes were the entire show, I would still love it because there's a great amount of quality control with the writing and everything. I think all of Ben 10 is great, but like this one is just like another level of banger where they took like the best that of everything they had out of season 1 and just made another season of that.
For sure. And
At least so far.
I hope it stays consistent. But you wanna give us the IMDb rundown of our first episode tonight?
Sure. So Gwen 10 is the fourth season or fourth episode of the second season, which aired on June 4th, 2006. And the plot description is in a what if tale, Ben wakes up back at the start of summer vacation with full memories of the coming weeks and finds himself not the one to whom the Omnitrix affixes itself. Is my mic wobbling?
No, but are you eating?
Did you just now realize that?
Not really, but like I just keep hearing you stop eating while you're talking on
I'm sorry.
podcast,
I'm
Demigloom.
sorry.
You
Listen,
do it all the fucking time. Stop.
I'm trying to like tactically eat. Like, okay, Riley's gonna go on a long rant. Let me just take a bite real quick. But it's not even that I'm like eating while I'm talking. It's literally that like my mouth is just super moist and there's like little food chunks in my mouth. It sounds like I'm eating. So I apologize. I'll put down the sandwich.
Yeah, put the fucking sandwich away, Jesus.
You're telling me to put the sandwich away. That's funny.
At least I fucking tactically mute myself if I eat on a podcast.
Well, the thing is, I'm
or I just have noise cancellation on that works.
Wait, you've heard me just like eating while you were talking throughout this?
No, but
Okay,
like whenever
'cause
I guess whenever you talk, I hear it. But like,
I'm not eating as I'm talking. I'm not doing that. I'm only like actually taking bites out of food when you're talking. That's why there's been a little bit of pause. That's why my response time isn't. But whatever. I'll stop. I'll put the sandwich down. I thought I would get away with it, but you meddling kids.
You meddling kids and your stupid dog too.
Yeah. But yeah. This episode was pretty interesting. It's basically like the Omnitrix is not on Ben's wrist, and he realizes he went back in time. And Gwen gets the Omnitrix, and she's a much better hero than Ben ever was.
Is that really true?
Yeah, I
Because
think
like
so.
no, because like the heat blast part was obviously like, oh, she picked this up a lot faster. But I feel like the Diamond Head versus the robot fight took a lot longer, and Gwen took more hits than Ben did. Am I off base here?
I disagree. To my memory, the Diamond Head fight was much longer when it was Ben. It was like half an episode.
Maybe
But
you're
I could be
right.
wrong.
Maybe I'm just stupid. But like it felt like Gwen was not quite as competent during that fight as Ben was during that fight. But it's been a long it's been a while since I watched Ben do that fight, so I could just be off base.
Yeah, for sure.
This episode was really interesting in its presentation. Like it's kind of completely out of left field, but it's like they have this weird like comic book narrated intro.
Yeah.
Where they're just like the stories about superheroes.
A very like menacing voice
about how it could have gone differently. And here's the episode.
Did they just did they basically just say like fuck you to anybody who wanted like a consistent canon? Were they just like, yeah, we don't give a shit. We're just like storytelling.
Which is fine because it's not like they do that every episode, but like
Yeah.
They definitely were like, here's just a fun story we're gonna tell. You never know what adventures Ben 10 will get into, and today's is a pretty wacky one.
Yeah. No, I didn't mind it personally.
I liked it a lot.
This was definitely my least favorite out of the three, but I did like it a lot.
This was it my no, I think my least favorite out of the three was the third one. Not to
We'll
bury the
talk about
lead,
that later.
but the Gwen 10 was very good. Um, Obviously, like I'm a sucker for this type of story. I do like alternate universe stories.
I think
Wh-
cartoons like don't do that enough.
It's true.
Like
They should
not
do it
that I want
more.
not that I want it to become a trope or anything, because I could easily see it getting annoying. But I
I
think
mean, I
it's
think it is a trope. I think like a lot of action cartoons like this have like the one episode where something akin to this occurs.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of cartoons do, but I don't think it's what the fuck was my point? Not in this way. Not like what if the whole thing was like what if the entire premise of the show was like flipped in this one direction? Is this something that happens consistently? Because I can't think of any other examples.
Also can't think of any other examples per se, but like I feel like this plot is familiar. Like I can't put my finger on
Yeah,
anything right now, but like I feel like this has happened in multiple shows that I've seen where it's just like, oh, what if the conceit of the show occurred differently?
yeah. All that being said, I found this episode a little bit I mean it was kind of uneventful. It was a little bit too much of a recounting of the first episode of the show, and then all of a sudden, the last episode of season one, the Vilgax shit. Like, I felt like once I got the premise, I kind of got it. Like, I kind of knew everything that the episode had to offer.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a big one in terms of like actual things occurring. But like I just like I like the alternate telling of the story, and I like the ultimate like moral where Ben is a hero despite not having the Omnitrix.
Even though he's reached that conclusion about 20 times throughout the show so far.
But I mean, it's always good though. Like the show's conceit is that it's about a boy who has an alien watch, and that's what makes him strong. But like I'm just always a sucker for the stories that end where it's like, hey, he's actually strong anyway.
Yeah. I feel like, though, if they're going to go that route, I'd like it to be, you know what I mean, more so that he's a hero for. Because it's not like a demonstration of moral character. It's always just like, oh, he could still kick ass. He could still beat the shit out of people without his watch. Not necessarily like he's demonstrating like heroic characteristics. Just like, oh yeah, he still beats the shit out of aliens without his watch. Not necessarily like you don't need the watch to be, to demonstrate heroism.
I think that is the crux of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not it's just not
It's just
like
like,
as
yeah, he's brave enough to go toe to toe, watch or no watch.
it's presented like it's super sentimental, and I'm just kind of like, "Meh. Yeah. All right."
No, I'm like a sucker for like sentimental shit. Like I watch Power
Well,
Rangers all the
I'm
time.
saying that I think I'm saying it kind of fails at being sentimental because I love sentimental shit. I like fucking K-On! For Christ's sake. I know you haven't watched K-On!, but I know you've listened to Trixie talk for enough hours that you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I've listened to Trixie talk about K-On! I've listened to you talk about K-On! I've listened to Insight Zoidberg talk about K-On! I get it.
Yeah.
Should I watch? Maybe I should watch K-On!
Um, K-On!'s one of those shows where it's like I really enjoy it myself, but I have a hard time recommending it to other people. I could totally see like you just finding it boring and stupid.
Maybe.
There's not enough plot, in my opinion. It's very much like just day-to-day life. Like
When
there's kind of a
you go ahead.
there's like strong signs of character development, but the development itself isn't super significant. You know what I mean? So it kind of just comes off as like pretentious in a weird way. I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like there's definitely problems with the show, and I don't think it's as great as people think it is, but the thing that it delivers so well is like being emotional and sentimental just about like everyday life, and like for me it's like the friendship stuff that gets me. It's just like a group of friends that love each other so goddamn much that and they have just heart-wrenching moments that bring you to tears. But as far as like actual like storytelling goes, it's not anything special. It's
You
really
see,
just
I
about those
love I
moments.
love that dynamic, but like in most shows I watch that I love that dynamic, there's also like superhero action mixed in. Like
You know,
that's the appeal of like Power Rangers to me, is like it's a group of teenagers who are like friends and hang out and have like interesting fun personalities and do fun things. And then in between, they fight monsters and are the Power Rangers.
it's funny because it's what you're describing right now is actually like perfectly describes K-On! Except instead of action, they play music
I feel
and they
like
overcome obstacles there.
I probably would enjoy K-On!
Yeah, maybe. The more we talk about it, the more I think it actually is kind of in line with what you enjoy out of television. So maybe.
But yeah, I was a sucker for this episode. I really did enjoy. I think the sentiment did hit for me, where it was like I understand Ben's frustration in this situation, but like he wasn't as insufferable as he could have been.
For sure.
Like he could have been like super bullshit and like just like a crybaby the whole episode. And like he had those moments, but they were always like quickly dashed by like, okay, I got shit to do. Like when his grandfather is like, no, you need to let your cousin do this, and you need to help me get these people out of here. He protests once, and then he's like, okay, actually, I do need to help with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we got our like also got our sentimental like Ben and Gwen genuinely like having like a bonding experience as well in the bowling alley, which is something that the show
Which I
always does
love
very
so
well.
much. I love the Ben and Gwen bond is something that like I did not even remember at all from like watching the show as a kid. At least not original generation. I know that in Alien Force they had a bond, but like by that point
There
all the characters have matured. But there is a real genuine family bond here in the original series that like feels real.
there is there is a family bond and they present it just enough that it doesn't get like obnoxious. Like I could easily see it becoming like really stupid, like oh my god, we're cousins and we're family, and family is super important. You know, we're a family, Skylar. It could be like that, but like, but you know, it's not. It's just they sprinkle it in there just enough for it to be meaningful every time that it happens, but also not to make you feel deprived of it. It's the perfect amount of sentimental like family bonding, while
Yeah.
keeping action and comedy and like that sort of thing at the forefront while also having it like built on that backbone of family bond. I think it's perfectly balanced as far as that goes. Except for the fact that I just kind of have a disdain for the action genre in general, and I would like pretty much any action series to have less action. But that's just a personal grievance with like the entire genre, so I
I
can't like
mean,
blame
I
Ben
do
10
feel
for
that
that.
sometimes. Like again, not to talk about Power Rangers, but it is like the only thing I've watched for the past like month. Um,
I get
that
the urge.
that
I've been fighting the urge to just compare Ben 10 to Star Wars like every single episode because there's so many goddamn parallels.
but with Power Rangers, that is like my main complaint a lot of the time. Is like I wish there was more teenager stuff versus Power Rangers stuff. So it's like, yeah, give me less action in my action show, please.
Yeah,
I want more character instead.
I think most children actually care a lot more about the action, so they do more action. But like for me personally, and even when I was a kid, I was always much more into like relationships and situations, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Which is really funny because I actually never watched any of the like sitcoms as a kid. Like I never watched like iCarly or I don't know what the fuck else there was. I cannot name the late 2000s, early 2010s
Yeah, like
sitcoms.
iCarly, Drake and Josh, Victorious, those kinds of
Yeah. The
shows.
Nickelodeon ones or the Disney Channel ones.
Hannah
Like I tried
Montana.
watching them. I tried watching them as a kid, you know what I mean, trying to see what they're about, and I just couldn't care. I never gave a shit. But now when I watch them as I mean, I guess I'm technically an adult, but like as like an older person, as I watch them as an older person, like I can actually like sincerely connect with them in a way that I didn't when I was like the age of the characters on screen, which I find a little bit funny.
It is true. Like I think like I've maintained enjoyment of like all the same franchises that I enjoyed as a kid, but I think the reasons have changed and evolved. Like I think again, I'm gonna harp on this all night probably because again, it's the only thing I've watched for a month. But like that's how my relationship with Power Rangers has evolved. Like when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, I want to watch them beat up the monster, and but now I'm like, oh, they're kids and I love them, and I want them to be kids.
Yeah, that's me with a lot, pretty much every franchise I liked as a kid. Like there was, well, like obviously, like I said, I always cared more about the relationships, but like action was a huge part of the appeal for me, and it's really not anymore. I don't really give a shit about action.
I mean,
Like
like I'm still into the action, but like
I like the action when I have like actual stakes in the matter. Like when I'm watching I'm gonna do the exact thing. When I'm watching the Star Wars movies, because I've been rewatching those, like I actually like there's genuinely like tensity, like tension. Because I'm like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like whoever like wins this battle like is gonna determine like how the rest of this is going. And in like a show like Ben 10, where it's not super episodic, it's kind of just like, oh yeah, bad guy, let's see how Ben 10 beats the bad guy this time. You know, like this, like I don't have like an emotional connection to, or like an emotional investment in the outcome of the battle, which is something that actually I developed when I like later on in the show, but currently at this point in the show, that investment isn't there, and I can still enjoy the fight and appreciate, you know what I mean, like the story, but it's less emotional, and I feel less connected to the just the violence when I know exactly where it's going, because you know I've seen it a million times already throughout the show.
yeah, I get you. Yeah, man. The action is cool and all, but it's like the character shit that really drives me. But I think the marriage of the two really is what makes the genre work, because
Of
like I'm
course.
not like I'm into Power Rangers more so than I'm into like any given like Disney Channel sitcom, because it's like, oh, it's a mix of like this cool fantasy thing and also just like these fun human characters. Like I think I watched my new favorite episode of Power Rangers today, and it had almost nothing to do with like the Power Ranger stuff that happened. Like it's just like in the episode, the Blue Ranger has a date, and like the rest of the Power Rangers, because he's never gone on a date before. He's like the nerd character. So like
Yeah.
the other Power Rangers put him through like a dating boot camp and like try to teach him how to do it right. And the like part of the Power Rangers plot that's going on is their mentor, Dr. Tommy Oliver. He was stuck as a Power Ranger. He couldn't demorph. And they tried to fix him, and instead of fixing him, they made him invisible, because that's like his like civilian superpower. So he got stuck invisible, but they like wove that into the date plot. And what happened is, this is like the most adorable thing that's ever happened in the show, and I love it so much and will think about it forever, is they like watch him on his date with like their Power Rangers surveillance system, and he like fucks it up, and like he's not doing good. He like spills something on the girl's sweater. he
Oh
starts talking to
no.
he starts talking about video games, and she doesn't care. um and like
Oh, you fucking idiot. Why
and
would
like
you? Now I
and like
care. Now I care about this episode. I want to watch
thing,
this now.
things are not going great. And then Dr. Tommy Oliver, Invisible Man, sneaks away, shows up at the date, and like starts helping secretly. And it's like the
As
sweetest
he's
thing.
invisible.
Yeah, he like lights the candles to make it more romantic. He like gives him a bouquet of flowers to give her. He like turns on the radio to her favorite song. He shows up as the Invisible Man and starts making things better. And it's great,
That's
and I
so
love it.
funny.
They're all watching the date, and he's like, and they're like, Dr. Oliver, what do we do? Wait, he's not here anymore. Where did he go? And he went to the date.
Wow. Honestly, shout out to that guy.
Shout out to
Real
that
bro.
guy. A real man, a real dude. I almost said another word.
Oh. They wouldn't say that on Power Rangers.
No, they certainly would not.
All
Demigloom,
right.
I think you should watch Power Rangers, is what I'm saying.
Are we gonna switch to fucking Megazord Radio?
I would fucking kill to do that. You have no fucking idea, Demigloom. That would make me the happiest man on earth.
How about we finish season 2 of Ben 10 and then we do a one-off and then see how it goes?
Okay.
All right. Anyways, do you want to talk about the next episode of Ben 10?
Are we done with Gwen 10?
Yeah, I don't have much else to say.
Fair enough. We do have to do wrap up questions, though.
I thought we do that. Oh shit, you're right. Every time I forget that we
Every
do it.
time you forget.
All right, yeah. Favorite character?
Probably Ben. I like Ben a lot in this episode.
Yeah, same. I'll go with Ben.
What about favorite scene?
The scene in the bowling alley that I described.
That's a pretty good one. I think I like the scene where Ben uses the big gun on the spaceship and
Yeah.
murks Spilgax. That was very good.
Listen, we don't need to transform into aliens to be hero. We just need giant machine guns.
Yeah, exactly. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
What about rating on a 10? I think this one is a solid. I was tempted to give like this entire swath of episodes 10s, but like this one is probably a 9. I don't think
I give it
it's
a.
not perfect, but like it's really fucking good, and I was really into the sentiment of it. So I'll give it
I'm
a
giving
9.
it a 7.
Well, that's cringe
I
and
mean, I
lame.
kind of already did my rant. I like the next ones a lot better though. So yeah, are we ready to talk about Grudge Match?
Hell yeah, we're ready to talk about Grudge
All right.
Match.
In season 2, episode 5 of Ben 10, Kevin and Ben become part of an alien abduction where they find themselves enslaved and forced to take part in televised galactic gladiatorial games. I don't. It's funny that it says televised because I actually don't remember it being like on. Is it televised like as in on
It's like
TV?
there was a scene where they were like on screens, but it was in front of a live audience
Yeah.
also.
So was this episode trying to criticize like professional wrestling
First of
or
all,
like
when did this
professional
episode air?
boxing? Oh,
Demigloom.
my apologies. June 7th, 2006.
And I feel like we should also be saying who it's like written by, because that does change every episode. I think IMDb might not have it right, but I feel like
All
it's a
right.
different name every time on the
It
Ben
was
10
written
wiki.
by it was written by Marty Eisenberg, Eisenberg, Duncan
Eisenberg.
Rauliu, Joey Casey, and directed by Sebastian Monte. What is everybody like? Holy shit! Nobody can pronounce your name. Let's start fucking making TV shows. Like, is
Yeah.
that just like is that like the job interview? It's like, how hard is your name to pronounce? You're hired. Like, I don't know. I apologize for not being able to pronounce people's names, especially when they're quite obviously, or at least to my perception, not English names. Not all of them are English names, and I can't, pronounce other other names than those of my own culture. I apologize. That's something I'm working on. Um, but yeah, this episode was freaking awesome, dude.
I I am a slut for this particular type of episode. Like in any action show of this like style, like the episode where they have to reluctantly team up with the villain is always like a great episode, both as just like a cool action thing and also as a character study of both the hero and the villain and like how they interact in a situation where they have to work together.
Yeah, for sure. I think my favorite part about this was that they didn't do like the cheesy like thing that other cartoons do where it's like, okay, we have to work with this villain and then they like realize that they have more in common than they thought and like the villain like just turns good out of nowhere. Like they still managed to be enemies while also understanding that they needed to work together to fight off certain obstacles. I think they did a really good job like balancing their raw hatred for each other and the need to work together, which I think is the entire point of this kind of episode, where other shows kind of fail at that and sort of take that forced bipartisanship as like means of rehabilitating the villain character.
Like that's always the case. Like in the episodes that I'm kind of thinking of other TV shows, it doesn't usually end with like the villain reforming or anything, but it's just like there are like genuine moments like within, and then maybe not this episode, there might have been a couple, but like there are genuine moments where it does seem like maybe they do have more in common than they think, but then it usually ends with the status quo still being in check. Like it's just like,
Well,
yeah, we work together, maybe we kind of enjoyed it for a second, but like we have very different goals that are directly against each other, so we are back to being enemies.
when I think about like times that this has happened on TV, like usually what they do is the villain will seemingly be rehabilitated and like their relationship seemingly turns positive, but like and they
Then
don't address
then
it
there's a
like
twist at the end where it's like, oh, I'm bad
no.
again, actually.
Not even that, just like it'll just be like at least when I think of episodes, I think of times where this happens and then like they're seemingly like on good terms and then like the next episode they're just enemies again and it's not explained.
Mm. I
And
guess
when I
like
say
I think
episodes I
my
think of,
prime.
I don't mean that I actually have episodes that I'm thinking of because of course I have memory. I have very strong feelings and like recollection of tropes existing, but for one reason or
But
another, I
can't
can't
remember
name.
examples. That's my
Yeah.
problem all the time. I do have an example of this trope though, like a very good one, a couple very good ones. One of which is not a TV show, although it's happened on TV shows as well. But like any like Sonic game plot where Sonic and Eggman have to work together for a time, that's usually handled very well. Like that's a
Hmm.
lot of what Sonic Lost World's plot was, which I said in that video essay is one of my favorites, even though
Ooh,
people don't like it.
Bowser's Inside Story.
That's true too.
This happens a
And
lot in
then
video games now that I think about
And
it.
then the TV episode I'm thinking of is there is an episode of Danny Phantom where Danny Phantom and one of his enemies, Skulker, have to team up to break out of Ghost Prison, and it's pretty fucking sick.
That does seem pretty fucking awesome.
But this episode handled it very well. I liked it. I feel like I find it hard to find specific aspects of these episodes to talk about, but like
You were good at it. You liked it.
I did it because I liked it. I was good
Okay,
at
because I liked it. Yeah.
it.
Hmm. Okay, so I said earlier, do you think this episode is like criticizing professional wrestling, or am I just reading too much into it? Because it seems very much like they were like it almost seemed like just like a very like amplified version of what they do in professional wrestling. Or like not even really like professional wrestling, more so like professional boxing, like MMA, UFC, that sort of thing. I don't know anything about those sports, but I know like what they do is they like, exploit like people's different personality quirks, and it's just, just all a game of numbers, and just kind of take people who they find would be entertaining to see get injured and exploit the shit out of it. And I feel like that's exactly what happened on this episode, whether it was intentional or not. There's a lot of parallels between this and real life, fighting sports. I don't know what to call them.
It
Combat
probably doesn't
sports.
help that I don't like watch anything like that ever. I do need to get into wrestling. Like there's so many people that like I like and respect their opinions on media are like super
You're
into
fat. Why aren't you
wrestling.
into wrestling? What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. Like of course, but
You look like you had a WWE backpack in elementary school. Like with the reflective design, those kids.
no, I never had cool backpacks, unfortunately. I just had like whatever I was given. I think I had like one like franchise backpack, and I can't even remember what it was, but I just remember being like so happy to have it, even though it was like a small shitty backpack that broke in 2 months. Those were a
That was like
magical
the
2 months where
equivalent
I got to have a cool picture on my backpack.
that was like the equivalent of like designer clothes when you were a kid. It was all about the fucking like the backpack. Half the time it's like those like excuse me, reflective ones where like, what's it called? The weird like scratchy material where it looks like it's moving when you walk by it, but it doesn't actually. What the fuck is that? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's the weird material. Like those posters that like switch to a different
Oh, you
image when
talking
you
about
look at
like
them from another side.
holographic?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like backpacks with that shit on it that would get like all scratched up like the second day of using it. But like that shit was like so fucking awesome as a kid. I remember I think I had like a Lego Star Wars backpack. That was the shit, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I made it very clear. I really liked Lego Star Wars when I was a kid. I was a huge Lego fan.
You are a big Lego person.
Big I mean, look at my profile picture.
I never got into Lego really. Like I think
Man,
the one Lego thing I had meaningful interaction with was like I watched Ninjago a lot.
and you don't
That was,
even you don't even remember like anything about it either.
I remember some things.
Do you remember episode 7?
No.
Oh,
When
where
I
where
say I
Zane
remember
finds
some
out.
things, I mean I just like remember the names of the characters and
Do you
like
remember when Zane
I
found out
remember
that he was a
Zane's a
robot?
robot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's episode 7.
And I know that Lloyd Garmadon becomes the Green Ninja.
Spoilers.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You spoiled Ninjago.
I
The
can't
hell,
believe
dude?
I've done this.
How will you ever live with yourself?
I remember like that twist being like it very interesting to me as a kid because like I remember like Lloyd was just like this shitty like kid who was Garmadon's like kid, and
Mm.
then suddenly he like became the Green Ninja and was like part of the hero team. I wanted Zane to become the Green Ninja because I liked Zane
They
and
they they marketed that pretty aggressively. they were like really hinted that like one of you will be the Green Ninja. And then I remember I got like there was like a Lego Club magazine that was literally titled "Who is the Green Ninja?" And it was like this huge fucking mystery. It was like, you know what I mean? Everybody on the playground at my school was like we were having like deep discussions, like round table formal
Round
discussions,
table debates about who was
you
going to
know,
become the
who the
Green
Green
Ninja.
Ninja was going to be. And I remember one of my friends was like, "It's going to be Lloyd, the little kid." Like, I don't know. Maybe like the episode fucking aired in Turkey a couple weeks earlier or some shit, and there was somehow he figured it out by looking it up on the internet.
I'm also sure if you were like paying attention, I'm sure they foreshadowed it because like there's no
I
way
don't
it
think
just
they did.
happened without like they had to have teased it at least a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. I remember I actually rewatched Ninjago maybe a year, 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but not too long ago. And I recall like not them not showing any signs, but I could also just be stupid.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but like I feel like that's the kind of thing you got to hint at a little bit in a show.
Well, the thing is, they actually hinted at they made very explicit hints
That
towards
other
him being
characters were
other
gonna,
ones, yeah. Because there
yeah,
was like a vision. Someone had a vision of the Green Ninja, and he had like shurikens. He was like, "Oh, shurikens! It's got to be Zane." There's like they like made it very explicit that we wanted to think it was another, other ninjas. I'm pretty sure that
that's
they
true.
I'm pretty sure they hinted the hardest at it being Jay, who was my fucking favorite back then, next to Zane.
You'd think it would be Kai they would hint at the most because he was like the leader, right?
Not really the leader, but like the main character.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. The again, Power Rangers did that too. There was the Gold Ranger back
Oh
in
my
Power Rangers
god.
Zeo. They did a bit where it's like this Gold Ranger shows up and they're like, "Who's the Gold Ranger?" And there's like a bunch of hints like maybe it's the Red Ranger's brother. Maybe it's their lab assistant friend who used to be a Power Ranger. Maybe it's the comic relief character. And then it just ends up being nobody that we knew before.
That's really funny. Huh.
But yeah, this episode was good. Ben and Kevin did a team up.
I
Kevin was an asshole. Ben tried to rein him in and was sometimes successful and sometimes not.
I really liked the other guy. What, the guy with the big like
God, what
spiky
was his
thing on his.
fucking name?
Yeah.
I Trogdor? Was that his name?
Was it? Hold on. Let me look this up. What is his name? Fuck. Technorg.
Technorg.
Technorg is fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was a fan of Technorg.
They did a great job illustrating like the every man for himself sort of attitude among the prisoners, but also the unity between them of being like, oppressed by the same force. It was actually very I don't want to say accurate because it's not like I've been to prison, but it was a very like it really felt like a realistic interpretation of like, you know what I mean, like a dynamic among prisoners. That at least from, what I've actually researched like prison psychology a little bit in school and watched a lot of movies about prison, listened to a lot of people talk about prison. It seemed to me that it mirrored like what prison is actually like as far as the dynamic between the people go.
Okay, that's fair.
And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that everybody was. It was the combination of the every man for himself when it came to resources like food, and obviously they're all fighting each other, but also there's like that unity of being oppressed under the same force that could, once they were powerful enough, they were able to all come together and free themselves.
And once they had like a catalyst to do it, which was Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool.
Ben freed the slaves.
He did. It's true.
Why is that sentence so funny to
I
me?
don't
I, I,
know.
I thought of that while I was watching. I was like, oh yeah, shit, Ben freed the slaves. Just saying that
Ben
with no
Tennyson
context.
frees the slaves. That's the name of the
It's
episode
true.
now.
No, just Ben freed the slaves.
Ben freed the slaves.
Yes, Ben freed the slaves. Yeah, I wish I had more to say about the episode, but it was a rather simple like linear story. But like I do want to just add that I'm going to be completely honest. Doing this podcast, having to watch a bunch of Ben 10 before each recording is a little bit of a chore sometimes. And I don't always feel super excited when I'm watching the episodes. Even if I could acknowledge that they're good, I oftentimes feel like kind of just like, when is this going to be over? But like during this episode, it had my like full attention and engagement the entire time, and I was just, you know, it was just a great experience overall, and it's not the first time, but one of the only times that I've felt this engaged while watching Ben 10, at least since I was a kid.
Yeah, like I haven't found a lot to say about it because like I think the most I ever talked on this show, I was like really high and I had taken copious notes. So
Yeah.
like people will like compare it to like another episode where I like fucking ranted for like 70 hours about how great it was. But like this episode, even though I don't have a lot to say about it, might just be like one of my favorites in general.
Yeah.
Like I like the Ben and Kevin dynamic. I like the setting. I think it's an interesting concept for an episode. Even
knowing
though
that knowing that Ben and Kevin end up becoming like best friends later on, even if that was never the intention when this episode was written, it's really interesting to see them be even slightly friendly to each other.
that's true, because like seeing the relationship kind of develop in that way, knowing that it will eventually lead to Alien Force and Forward, where they're homies.
Yeah, it's not even like they're developing into a more like their relationship is developing into a more positive direction because Kevin clearly still has a raw hatred for Ben, even if Ben sort of was a little bit like, you know what I mean, wanting them to, like towards the end, he didn't want to fight Kevin, you know what I mean? He kind of wanted them to resolve this peacefully and move on their separate ways, whether or not he wanted a positive relationship overall. But Kevin clearly just had a raw like hatred for him and wanted to beat the shit out of him the entire time. But even so, they had like a couple moments where they genuinely were just like happy to be working together, you know? And it's interesting to get that little sneak peek of what like positive interactions between the two of them would look like, knowing that in the future they that would be a frequent occurrence.
Yeah, for sure. Man, this episode was just cool.
It really was.
I also liked seeing like Kevin kind of like learn how to use his like crazy hybrid powers.
Yeah.
And then he turns it against Ben at the end, which like I saw that coming a mile away, but it
Yeah, of
was
course.
it, it was still a good drama moment.
For sure. I just realized the first episode that we're going to talk about next time is going to be my favorite episode of the whole series.
Oh shit, really?
Mhm.
What is it?
We'll talk about it next episode. I'm not
Cool.
even going to I'm not even going to mention like why I like this episode or what I love about it. Just my favorite episode is coming up next. But are
Okay.
we ready to do wrap up questions for Grudge Match?
Yeah, sure.
Favorite character? My favorite character is forgot the guy's name again.
Technorg.
Yeah, Technorg. Definitely my favorite character. He was participating in the unfortunate, hierarchical like system of natural selection that takes place within like a prison sort of context. But he was also honorable, fair, and respectful at the end of the day. He demonstrated you know, just great he demonstrated moral character. And I think he was overall also just super cool. It was super cool. It felt I mean, obviously he's not a human, but you know what I mean? Very human of him to see that, because I feel like in Ben 10, oftentimes it's like, okay, there's the good guys and bad guys, which is kind of a problem with just like media in general. But like this guy was like, hey man, he's a human being who has motives and he's a product of his surroundings, and he can still show moral character while also kind of being the bad guy a little bit. Whereas other times in Ben 10, it's kind of just like, yeah, they're evil, then they hurt people, and that's all there is to it. There's kind of that lack of depth.
I mean, I think that is like generally the case. But then there are like these types of episodes where that's not the case. Like they like turn the trope on its head every once in a while, and I think it's always like a
Right.
fun, a,
Like
a fun
when they show the
episode
eviction,
concept.
when they show the
Yeah,
eviction, it's always a
yeah.
good it's always a good
The
sign.
eviction that is the root of all evil.
I'm gonna remember that forever, and that's gonna be a bit. That's gonna be a Demigloom and Riely bit for all of eternity.
That eviction
No
is
matter
the
what
root of
happens
all
to this
evil.
show, yeah, eviction is the root of all evil.
But Yeah, I think I'll also give it to Technorg, which the reason why leads me into my favorite scene, which I think is like the like double, not double sacrifice. I don't think Ben was sacrificing himself. He would have made it off the shuttle too. But it
Hmm.
was just like the duality of like Ben like getting Technorg off, trying to get Technorg off the ship, being like he's like I owe my life to you, and Ben's like I'm giving it back. Get the fuck out of here. And
Yeah.
then Technorg re-reveals himself and like ends up having to stay on the ship to like get Ben out of there.
Hmm.
And it was a really sweet moment. I think that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, same. I'm not even gonna like come up with something else. That was definitely my favorite moment too.
And I think I buried the lead by saying this is one of my favorite episodes, but like yeah, it's a 10 out of 10, I think.
Same, 10 out of 10.
Very good. Good
I think this is
movie.
just an objectively great episode. It's also interesting too. Not saying this has anything to do with it, but this is a 10 out of 10 episode that Gwen and Grandpa Max aren't really a part of.
That's true. I do like my Ben solo adventures occasionally. Like, Gwen and Grandpa Max are great and they always have great moments and are great, but like occasionally I like seeing Ben having to operate on his own.
He didn't he demonstrated, you know what I mean, his heroic abilities, his moral character, and everything that's great about Ben without like the safety net of his family. You know what I mean? Cuz normally like he kind of has normally Ben kind of like there's kind of this question, right, of like if it wasn't for like Grandpa Max, like would Ben kind of just like be super reckless and not accomplish anything? And in this episode, the question is clearly answered that Ben is capable of being a hero without his family. And I thought it was very it's not necessarily character development, but it's like we're seeing this other aspect of this character. We're seeing him thrive in an environment that we didn't know how he would navigate before, which I didn't realize at first. I'm kind of just reaching this conclusion right now, but is something we haven't really seen Ben go through this, and that might be why I love this episode so much.
Yeah, it's always an interesting breath of fresh air to see Ben like competent on his own just because like I feel like a lot of episodes have the opposite kind of plot
Yeah,
where it's like Ben
where
tries to
Ben
do
like
something on his own and fucks it up and his friends and or family have to bail him out of it. Like that was pretty much like the moral of like the entirety of like the first season of Omniverse where like Ben, but I guess spoilers for later, but like Ben tries to be a hero on his own after Gwen and Kevin leave and he just like consistently fucks up and he's like the plumbers assign him his partner Rook, the other main character of Omniverse, and he's like, I don't need this guy. I'm fucking Bed Ted, bro. Like the fuck this dude, and then he just like consistently fucks up and needs Rook to bail him out.
that's right. I actually do remember that because I did watch a lot of the first season of Omniverse as it aired. I also I take back what I said earlier about this not necessarily being character development because this definitely is when I look back. Because in previous episodes we've seen multiple times Ben being childish and like dishonorable with how he handles his, heroism. Is that the word? Heroism? Being a
Yeah,
hero?
that's the word.
Yeah, when he like his, he acts more dishonorable. Like for example, like in episode 2, Grandpa has to tell him like, being a hero is its own reward, and like he has to learn these lessons. You know what I mean? That saving people is more important than the gold sumo slammer card. And in this episode, it's clearly demonstrated that he actually has learned a lot of those valuable lessons, and he's doing what's right for the sake of being right, and not because he's a kid who wants to get in on the action. Now, obviously, he was kind of forced into this situation, obviously, and he did have a clear motive to escape for himself, but he also demonstrated not necessarily selflessness, but just empathy and care for the people around him. And I think it was just a great like checkpoint, not checkpoint, like mark, turning point. Not even a turning point, just a good like reminder of how far Ben has come and a good demonstration of, how who he is as a hero currently in the show.
For sure. And I think the show is like so far like I'm really like fascinated and impressed with the kind of balance they're striking because like Ben is a 10. He's a 10-year-old boy. So like you kind of you he can't be the same thing every like he can't be the perfect hero or else it's like this is not a 10-year-old boy. But like striking the balance between him being 10 and like sometimes needing to be like steered back in the right direction by people who are a bit more mature than him. But at the same time, he does have this like true hero's will, and like will rise to the occasion when he's needed, and does like value the lives of others, and is like brave and honorable to a fault, even though
Yeah,
sometimes he is misguided because he's a 10-year-old who just wants to have fun. But
he's a
when you
kid
need
and
it,
he
when
wants to
you
have
need,
fun.
when you need a superhero, he gets the job done. You know.
It's true. Ben 10. Do 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 do.
I'm trying to remember the other lyrics now. Oh, it's
With the
with
device that he
with the
wears on
device
his
that he wears on
arm,
his arm.
he can change his
He can change
shape
his
and save the
shape and
world
save
from
the world from
harm.
harm.
When troubles take, all right, I'm done. I can't. I'm not
Okay.
doing the rest of that. It's
Yeah.
over.
When trouble's taking
Uh,
place, he gets right in its
the
face.
Galactic Enforcers, season 2, episode 6 of the original Ben 10 series. Episode aired on June 13th, 2006. The plot description is Ben is enthralled as a team of galactic superheroes trail two supervillains to Earth who are looking for the other chemical half of a solar system destroying explosive. Okay, I want to say something right now.
Are you about to say the
Um,
same thing I'm gonna say?
say
Let's
it.
see.
You just say it.
No,
You go
you go. You go
first.
first. You go first.
Okay, what was that guy's name again?
Technor.
Technorg. We see a guy that's the same species as Technorg.
He's literally fucking tech. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
it was so okay. So is that what you were gonna say?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. At the beginning, we're introduced with a guy that looks exactly like Technorg because he's the same exact species. And I thought it was Technorg at first, and he's working with 66, who is one of the assassins in the Alliance, I believe. Was that the name of the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the not the assassins, the bounty hunters in the Alliance, who was trying to get Ben 10, retrieve the Omnitrix for Vilgax. We see this guy that looks exactly like oh my god, what is his name? I literally
Fucking Technorg, bro.
Technorg. I'm sorry, Technorg. This guy that looks exactly like Technorg, being like extremely evil and being like, hey, we're gonna take over the world. And then we see him fight Ben 10, and I'm like, okay, wait, is Ben 10 gonna be like, oh, hey, you're Technorg from the last episode? And no, until I had to just look at the wiki. I was like, what the hell? I looked at the Technorg entry on the wiki to see if it like mentioned his appearance in this episode. And then, of course, I looked at the picture of Technorg with a critical eye, and I was like, oh, it's not the same guy, even though they look very similar.
It's just such
But
a weird choice. Because this
yeah,
is like the very next episode. Like,
yeah,
if this episode was like next season, I'd be like, oh, they did the same species. That's cool. But like doing
yeah,
it the next episode, it's like this is just confusing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a very dumb choice.
Yeah.
Like somebody who was like in the second to last scene of the previous episode, in the opening scene of the following episode, you'd think, it felt like it was the same character being reintroduced. At first, I thought they were gonna do something interesting, like, oh, like okay, this guy was like cool with Ben. Is he gonna be like hired by 66 to do something and realize that Ben is like the good guy, or is he gonna meet Ben and recognize him? You know what I mean? And like all these thoughts are going through my mind, like under the pretext that this is him.
Technorg.
I literally can't remember Technorg. I'm sorry, but under the pretext that this is Technorg, and I realized slowly, like, no, it's not the same guy. Huh. Strange. So yeah, the episode's a 0 out of 10. My favorite character was Technorg,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No,
but
this
yeah,
episode. So another thing I would like to point out about this episode, I don't know if you noticed this, but
I think I know
there
what you're gonna say. Go
the
on.
scene the scene near the beginning where Ben has his little Ultra Ben fantasy. He's like reading a comic book, and like he's imagining himself as this like superhero, even though he is already a superhero. And then when it pans back into the real world, the book he's reading, it's a manga, and it just says manga on it.
Yeah, it just says manga, and it's a
He's
picture of
reading a
like,
manga named manga.
and it's just like it looks like a Gundam what are the mech on the
Yeah.
cover. So he clearly was not reading a Ben manga. But yeah, there's a lot of just strange choices in this episode so far.
I like this episode a lot.
Me too.
This, first of all, I feel like immediately we need to take to the Ben 10 wiki to answer a question.
What?
Do the Galactic Enforcers ever appear again?
Yeah, that was. I was just gonna say that. Let me. Galactic Enforcers. No, not the Galactic Enforcers. Galactic Enforcers. Different entry. They first. It says they first appeared in the Galactic Enforcers.
Okay, so assumedly that means they appear again.
But it says first appearance Galactic Enforcer. Does it normally say like last appearance? No, I
Maybe?
don't know. Where does it say? The Galactic Enforcers make a small appearance in Alien Force, apparently.
That's
Oh,
it for the
they
Galactic
appear in
Enforcers? Oh,
in
okay.
Ben 10,000, apparently.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, okay. So we see them again.
Okay. Ben 10,000 is going to be an interesting episode.
Yeah.
It's weird that they do that, like, different times.
What do you mean?
Like, they do the Ben 10,000 thing, like,
In
4
every
separate
series.
times, and he's, like, a different kind of dude every time.
Yeah, because they're different timelines, right?
Yeah, they didn't do one in every series. They didn't do one in Alien Force. It was, there's the
Well, they did
original
one in
Ben
Ultimate
10.
Alien, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so so it's the
they did
same
original
like.
Ben 10, they did Ultimate Alien, and they did Omniverse. There was also a Ben 10,000.
Do people consider like Alien Force and Omniverse to be like one? It's one continuity, right?
Ultimate Alien is basically just like seasons 4 and 5 of Alien
Yeah,
Force.
and just basically just a rebrand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But how
God,
did you
I want
feel?
to get
How
to
did you
Alien Force so bad, man. You don't. I want it. I want it so bad.
what was I gonna say? How do you feel about the Galactic Enforcers, like the characters?
I like them a lot. I'm a big fan of the Galactic Enforcers, particularly the main one.
Ultimos.
That guy, that voice actor has definitely done legendary things. Like I recognize this voice actor as a prolific figure. At the very least, he's imitating somebody who has done great things.
Tom
Because like I
Kane.
recognize this voice.
Let's see. Guy named Tom Kane voices. He voices a bunch of people in Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, a bunch of people in a bunch of people in a bunch of Star Wars. He's in Powerpuff Girls
You know what?
2016.
Powerpuff Girls. Oh, just 2016.
Maybe I don't know. I can't find like a comprehensive. Hold on.
Because I definitely recognize this voice from something like iconic, and I think the Powerpuff Girls intro might be it actually.
Okay, yeah. He's in the Powerpuff Girls movie. He's in a
I
bunch of
think
Powerpuff Girls
he is the
shit.
narrator for Powerpuff Girls. That is where I recognize this voice from.
He's in Alpha and Omega. He's
Oh
in like every
no.
Alpha and Omega. Kim Possible, Robot Chicken. No, it's just Star Wars stuff. Iron Man, the Iron Man cartoon, Wolverine and the
Okay.
X-Men, Halloween H2O, the shittiest movie ever.
The
House
fuck is
of
Halloween
Blues.
H2O?
Oh my god, it's just a Halloween movie that's really really bad. We don't talk about it.
It's not a special of the hit TV show H2O. Just add water.
No, it's not.
Yeah, remember that shit? That's a deep cut. Was that show like popular? People like that show.
My ex-girlfriend was obsessed with that show and tried to get me to watch it. Apparently it's really good
I
because
remember
she
catching just like random episodes on Nickelodeon and really liking the theme song because I'm into poppy bullshit songs, and that's about it.
she says that she would put it on the TV and she would just watch it herself, and her dad would like hear parts of it, and then he got hooked on the show himself, and the same thing with her sister. So
Oh
apparently it's
shit!
spread like a disease in her household, but her household is also full of, psychopaths. So
I'm gonna start an H2O just add water watch along podcast with your ex girlfriend.
I would murder you. I would rather you have sex with my ex-girlfriend than start a podcast
Start
with
an
her.
H2O podcast
Yeah.
with her.
I would feel so violated. No, but back to the Galactic Enforcers. Ultimos is literally just Martian Manhunter, and this is literally just the not Justice League.
That is basically what it is. Like they're just
Wait,
doing like a
hold on.
Justice League Avengers parody, but like
I just had a fucking. Is he the guy? Is he the Star Wars: The Clone Wars narrator?
he is a very narrator-y guy. He
Yeah, he
was
has a
the
very narrator voice. Yes, dude, he is the guy. Have you seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars?
I've seen like an episode or two.
Like in the beginning of every episode, they're like, "Oh, the Jedi base is being constructed." Blah blah. Blah. It's just like a narrator, and
A
it's
man
it's
has fallen
him.
into the river in Lego City.
A man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Builds the fire truck. I fucking love those. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, I wish I could have afforded all those cool sets back in the day.
You really wanted to have the set where the man falls into the river in Lego City, and
I wanted
you couldn't have it.
I couldn't have the river man. I wonder if I recently bought Lego City Undercover and I'm playing through it for the first time. I wonder
Is
if
there a
a
man
man
who
falls
falls
into
into
the
the
river.
river
Yeah,
in Lego City?
we'll see.
I've heard Lego City Undercover is actually pretty good.
It's so far it's literally just GTA. Like I'm not even kidding. It's like the gameplay is like identical to like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas or like Grand Theft Auto 5, but it's Lego and you're the cops.
That does sound fun.
It's only like
How's the
$7.99 on Switch.
how's the like writing for the cutscenes?
It's fun. It's really funny. Like
Okay.
like Traveler's Tales, like their switch to like dialogue instead of just mumbling is controversial, and I get it. Like I understand. I do agree that the mumbling was it had a charm that'll never be matched. But the dialogue, like the dialogue is always really funny. Like their Lego games are super well written, and like I can't even say that it's just like nostalgia for me because I'm playing a lot of these games that I've played I've never played in my life, and I find myself just like cracking up sometimes at some of the shit that they say in it. I think it's really good.
Okay. I probably will check it out.
They're also like actually like they like make fun of cops in a really there's like a lot of like anti-cop messaging in Lego City Undercover, which is really interesting. I didn't expect that at all.
That's fun.
I think it both I'm not gonna pretend it's like a fucking ACAB like BLM video game, but it's like um it definitely like makes fun of and criticizes the police while also making them like really badass and heroic at the same time. It's like they should basically I think the perspective of the game is that there's a lot of good and bad about cops and they present it all in a humorous and lighthearted fashion. And I think it's pretty good. But yeah,
God, discourse about cop media now frustrates me.
why is that?
Cuz I feel like a lot of media that has cops in it just gets like dismissed outright, or at the very least like psychoanalyzed for all of its flaws because people don't like cops.
There's definitely political consequences to portraying anything as like, inherently political as the justice system. So I understand why everybody wants to be hyper careful, but I think it's very important to remember that most of the time it's people my issue is when people present like any kind of media that presents police in a positive light as if like it's the creators themselves making a personal statement about the state of our justice system, when in reality it's kind of just a reflection of existing tropes within other media. Like when people started getting mad at Paw Patrol, I think is when I started to lose like interest. Like I understand that media that's meant for like the fucking 2-year-olds that like brains are developing and they're developing an understanding of how like day-to-day life works. It's important to have ensure that you're not like presenting like a things in a biased context, but at the same time I can't really get mad for portraying police as heroic in children's media necessarily. Like I can't get super pissed at the creators when they do that because that's kind of just been a thing for a long time. It's kind of just the status quo. I would encourage people to change, but I don't understand the outrage. I guess that's one
Not
thing. Move, go on.
So not to criticize this show, because like literally last episode I was like crying about how we're nowhere near as good as this show, and I've also listened to like literally like 50 hours of it in the past
This
six
fucking Power
months.
Rangers show.
Yeah, the Power Rangers podcast. There was like one of the seasons I listened to while I was watching was Power Rangers SPD, which is a season about like Power Rangers who are part of a police force who like deal with alien crime on Earth, because it's like a future season where aliens live on Earth. Like they just like hang out.
Hmm.
And and there's like a whole lot of like the show is still mostly really good. Like I still listened to the podcast throughout the whole thing and mostly enjoyed it. But like there were a lot of like side conversations about like cops that got like aggressively ACAB-y, and it was just like, man, just like enjoy the Power Rangers. Like, come on, man.
I think there is a really interesting conversation to have about like the political consequences of portraying police in children's media, but I also think outrage is not really accomplishing much in this particular realm of conversation because you just come off as fucking psychotic. Like me being like the fucking insane like leftist ACAB person that I am, like I can listen to a conversation about like the problematic interpretation of police in like little kids shows, you know what I mean? But if you let that become outrage and you just become the woke mob wants to fucking get Paw Patrol off the air because it has cops in it, then you just look psychotic to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging dishonesty, by the way. I'm not saying like you should, what I mean, have a fake opinion to please others, but you need to be very careful about how you present your radical thoughts because they can easily come off as like delusional and psychotic to people who aren't thinking under the same pretext that you are. I love saying pretext. It makes me sound so smart.
Wow. Yeah, pretext, man. But anyway, yeah, this episode of Benjamin Tenjamin. So, the Galactic Enforcers were fun characters. I like the kind of, I do like the sort of the like parody of like traditional superhero, and it's like the Ben gets super into it, but then it's like it's too by the book, and then it's like now we got to do this the fucking Ben 10 way. It was fun. Like I said, I think it's the least favorite out of the three we've watched so far, but that's by no mean or so far the three we watched this episode. But like that's by no means a real big detriment because I loved all three episodes we watched this time.
Yeah. I really liked just all three of the Galactic Enforcers. I thought they were super cool characters. They were a super cool team. Each character had their own little thing that they brought to the table, and it was just super cool. It was real. This episode really just like the whole plot kind of just felt like an excuse to introduce these characters and their dynamics, which I don't have a problem with, but at the same time, I kind of wish that we saw them more given, you know what I mean, given the fact that that's how this episode went. It felt like an introduction. I felt kind of edged when I watched this for the first time, like when I watched these shows for the first time, because it just felt like
It does kind of feel like that, like in the same way that like the Alliance was an introduction for Tetrax, which actually does go somewhere, whereas the Galactic Defenders aren't as big of a factor as this episode might make them seem.
yeah. I I'm just gonna say it. I didn't like the moral of the story, the whole like by the books thing. I thought it like the code of conduct. I thought it was kind of just it was too over the top to have like a realistic to feel like a realistic like you know moral. It was like too over the top, too on the nose. It felt very cheesy and forced.
For sure. And I think this episode was kind of just leaning into a lot of it was leaning into like the comedy aspect of this show. Like I think the Galactic Defenders are very much a parody, and viewed in that lens, it does kind of make sense for it to be that over the top.
Yeah,
It's a good movie.
good movie. God, we that sound is lost to time because Insight can't say that anymore. She doesn't know how to. She doesn't know what
She
she
doesn't
did.
know how to how to
You've
replicate it.
you've you've been there when I've tried to get her to say it again, right?
Did she say it on a podcast, or was
No,
it is it
I don't think
lost?
so. I think it's lost
Wow.
because like I would be like yo, I would be like good movie. I'm like yo, Insight, say good movie, and she'd be like good movie. I'm like no, that's not how you said it
No,
before.
that's not how it
Like no,
is.
that's not how you did it wrong. Bad movie.
Bad movie.
But yeah, we just like to say good movie if something is good, whether or not it's a movie.
Yep. Do
Do
we
you
have
want to do
any?
wrap up questions?
Yeah.
Oh, one thing.
Okay.
What was her name? Tiny. Tiny is
Yeah.
the same species as Forearms, and she was she was acting flirtatious with Ben when he was
When
Forearms,
he was forearms, and then
and then
still after.
and then I don't think it was flirtatious after. I think it was it flirtatious after Ben transformed?
I think a little bit.
I don't think it was flirtatious. I think it was just like genuine like just interest in him, I don't want to say companionship because that implies like a developed relationship over time. I think she genuinely just thought Ben was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's probably a more fair assessment.
But like she did like wink at him like when he was forearms, like before she knew that he was a kid. I was kind of just like I'm not like outraged, but I'm kind of just like you didn't have to put that in the show. Like little kids like I just don't think little kids should see adults flirting with children in any context on TV. Even though I understand that this was a joke, like I just
Well, I think it's funny
can we
just
just not
because
do that?
just because of the conceit of Ben 10, where it's like he turned into an adult alien, and she's
Yeah,
like, "Oh yes, this is an adult alien of my species," and then it's like, "Oh no, he's not," as
yeah,
it turns out.
but I feel like just for like think of the children. Like, can we just not put that thought through children's heads?
I
Like,
guess I see what you're
I don't want
saying.
children. Like, we're having a nuanced discussion about this. I don't want children to have nuanced thoughts about adults being attracted to children if they look like adults. I just don't want that. I don't want children to think about that. Period. Same problem that I had with the fucking sexy jutsu from Naruto. I thought that was creepy as fuck.
I suppose I see where that could be problematic. I just don't care. I
Where
just think it's funny.
where Jiraiya, the creepy old man, is like, "Hey Naruto, you 12-year-old, can you turn into that sexy lady again so I can go awooga and my nose can bleed?" Like, come on. Like, do we have to do like? Is it so funny that we need to do that? I don't know. Am I just a cuck for even caring about this? Should I just not care?
I feel like it's a weird thing, right? Because like you try to like apply normal morals to shit like that. Anime's weird. Like you brought up Jiraiya, and it's like I think about characters about like Jiraiya and like Master Roshi from Dragon Ball all the time, where it's
Master
like,
Roshi's a pedophile.
listen, you see, Master Roshi is like this such a like a strong, deep character beyond that, and has like such like deep, strong character moments throughout the show.
Which is
But
why
then
I find it
also
so
he's a
offensive.
pedophile.
Which is why I find it so offensive that they make these characters creepy like that. Because they're just shitting all over that character, that deep character. Like, can we just
It's
not?
like Master Roshi has had like amazing moments that like prove he's like this strong, honorable warrior, and
Yeah,
then there's like a bunch of weird, creepy shit.
and I don't like people like just completely throwing away a character's like, you know what I mean, like sense of morality for like a cheap laugh, or even sacrificing the show's ethical character for a cheap laugh. I don't like that at all. And as far as like pedo shit goes, it's like pedophilia is just not really funny. It's just not. Just you know what I mean? Like I'm sure like you know what I
I
mean.
don't know, in certain contexts.
I think if you're a show like Family Guy or South Park, right? Like I think it's much more. You have much more like leeway as far as that goes because because it's literally like just comedy. But like when you're doing a show that like Dragon Ball or Ben 10, where it's like the characters like
Yeah,
actually have like
no,
high
it
moral
doesn't work
expectations,
there.
it doesn't land. Yeah,
When I say that pedophilia is funny, I'm thinking about like the jokes they make about fucking teenagers on like the Procrastinators podcast, which is a
yeah,
podcast for adults, not
yeah,
Ben
exactly.
10 or Dragon Ball.
I think a big part of it is because when you present a character in a positive light overall and then make a pedophile joke, it's almost as if like that pedophilia is like being excused. You know what I mean? Whereas in like Family Guy, like Peter's like, "Boy, this is worse than the time I was a pedophile." Like it's just like whatever. Like Peter never had any moral character to begin
Lois,
with.
I'm a pedophile now.
Lois, I'm a pedophile now. You know what I mean? Like that's funny. You know what I mean? Because nobody could interpret that as like like presenting pedophilia in a positive light. Because Peter is just insane. Like you're not supposed to like Peter. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then you have like Jiraiya who's like asking 12-year-old Naruto to do the sexy jutsu. And then like he's this like deep character who has like these intense like character moments where he proves he's like this great ninja master with strong moral character, except for the times where he's a pedophile.
Yeah. I don't know. What I can't escape the fucking pedophilia discussion. It seems like no matter who I'm talking to, what we're talking about, I'm
I
just
think
like
the
a fucking
internet just
magnet.
can't escape the pedophile discussion. Like it
Yeah.
seems like pedophiles are like the most common topic of discussion on the internet in general at this point. Like every
Yeah.
discussion is about like pedophilia and grooming and
And
like
like age gap ethics
yeah.
and like shit like that. It's like part of me is glad that we live in a society where you know what I mean? We're like hyper aware of that sort of thing, you know, because a long time ago, not that long ago, like it would have been just like stuff like this would have just been totally dismissed and not even thought of. I'm glad that we have like a dialogue and we're able to have like a nuanced like discussion and observe the world through a critical lens with that and acknowledge that that's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. But I also kind of want to talk about things that aren't
That
pedophiles.
aren't pedophilia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I think overall I'm glad that people are hyper aware and you know, we're able to be hypercritical of the sexualization of children, and we're able to, you know, spot everything, spot the red flags and all that. But yeah, do we want to do wrap up questions?
Sure.
Who's your favorite character?
Hmm. That's a hard one for this particular episode. Like I struggle to think of one character in particular that really stood out. Uh I guess I'll give it to hmm. I guess I'll give it to Ultimos.
I want to give it to what was, I'm looking at the wiki. It says Synaptac, the brain
The
guy.
Synaptac, the Brain Man,
Yeah,
but
the brain guy. I like him. He's cool.
he's pretty cool.
What was your
I,
favorite scene? Or sorry, go on.
I don't know how much I like Synaptac. He might have been my least favorite of the three, actually, personally.
Well, I love all three of them. I think they have a great dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite scene is probably hmm. I'm trying to fuck. What really is like a this episode is very much just like an episode. Like I can't think of like things that stand out more than other things.
Yeah.
Um I guess like the last fight scene,
Yeah. I don't.
Cannonball in it. Am I remembering the right
Yeah,
fight
yeah, yeah.
scene?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
The Cannonball did a thing, and I like Cannonball. This is my favorite
I
scene.
can't think of a scene that's really stands. I guess the chocolate thing was kind of funny.
That was a little funny, but it also seems weird that Ultimos did not realize if because they said like chocolate is like an established weakness of his, right?
Yeah, he was like, "You idiot! You gave him chocolate."
Yeah, like that is a fact that they know, and thus how did Ultimos eat this chocolate? Why did he do
Maybe
it?
maybe he comes from a place where chocolate is so uncommon that he just like can't spot chocolate like that.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he probably just doesn't like know. Like if they're like imagine like if you were like, listen, fucking moon rocks. You cannot touch moon rocks, Riley. And then somebody like hands you a cool rock. You're like, oh, it's like, oh, there's a fucking moon rock, shit, you
Oh
know?
shit! It's a moon rock. No. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, speaking of moon rocks, the quote unquote moon rocks that they they took from the moon, when they sent Neil Armstrong to the moon, uh,
Yeah.
they turned out to be withered wood. They were fake. Just putting it out there.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
The moon landing wasn't real, actually. I guess maybe.
arguably, yeah. There's actually oh my, I might get in trouble for saying this, but fuck it. I haven't researched this like more recently because back when I was like more like edgy and like conspiracy theorist like minded, I was like hyper convinced that the moon landing was fake. And then once I realized that like all that conspiracy theory bullshit that I kind of like was into back then was just kind of all bullshit, I kind of threw the moon landing stuff to the side and just assumed that I was wrong about that too. But looking back, and I might just be, you know, I've yet to like hear to like all the sides of this story, but like there's a lot of evidence, or at least whether it's manufactured or not, there's a lot of like convincing what's the word? There's a convincing argument to be made that the moon landing was fake, and at the very least, that America had a strong incentive to fake the moon landing.
I just like get afraid every time I believe a conspiracy theory because it happens too often.
It's
Like I
scary.
think Jason is starting to turn me into a 9/11 truther, and that's scary.
It's scary because the
Every time
logical
Jason says something about like the logical flaws of the 9/11, I'm like, you
you
have a
just feel
point.
like you feel like super overwhelmed because you don't have a rebuttal, or like you don't know enough, but you're just hearing someone speak very confidently and they know what the hell they're talking about. It's really scary when something, even if it's something really simple, like something you've accepted as reality for so long, is coming into question and they're starting to sound right. It's a horrifying thing, and it's actually manufactured that way. Like you're meant to, you know, you're not meant to be critical of authority. You're literally meant to fear you know, I mean, I guess alternative reality, if we're going to call it that, which is
Wasn't
a
it
really
like
scary
recently
thing.
basically confirmed that the government assassinated JFK? I keep like hearing about that.
I'm pretty sure they declassified a bunch of documents and everybody was like, see, this proves. But at the end of the day, I don't think there was actually any evidence that proved anything that hadn't already been proven. It wasn't like JFK's like it wasn't like proved that the CIA framed Lee Harvey Oswald or anything. But there was just I think the declassification of some of those files kind of just reiterated some of the conspiracy theories talking points. But there was no hard evidence like one way or the other.
Okay, fair enough. Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys.
Never.
No.
Can't think of one bad thing except
I
for
gotta I gotta
except for
watch
horrible things that have happened to every single Kennedy.
I gotta watch Clone High. Have you not seen the clip that I'm
I
referencing?
have I have seen the clip.
Okay. I've heard that show is like unironically very good, and I've seen very funny clips.
All I know is that the art style is Total Drama literally just took the same exact arts. Total Drama is basically made up of Clone High OCs. That's how like 1-to-1 the art style is.
I don't know about that. They're similar, but I don't think
They
it's
look
one to
exactly
one.
the same.
I think it's like shaded and stuff in a very different way, I think.
I think they look exactly the same. Oh my.
What?
Okay, Riley, look at this image I'm sending in general chat.
Okay.
Tell me that girl on the left isn't from Total Drama.
The girl on the left specifically,
Like 100%. The guy in the middle, not so much. I'll give you that.
I think this show is like the art style is like kind of like weird and unique, but like there are a lot of similarities to Total Drama in some of the character models. And yes, specifically, I know this character's name. I think this is Joan of Arc. They're all like history. Yeah, I think it's Joan of Arc.
Hmm.
I'm gonna watch Clone High soon.
Rate
There's not even
the
that many episodes.
rate the episode out of 10.
Probably 8.5. Like it was very solid.
I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, although it didn't stick out too much.
All Demigloom, we did it again. This is the 10th episode, which I haven't been doing this enough recently. I feel like 10 is a milestone for podcasts, and
It's
historically I have celebrated episode 10. I
do
just
you
forgot
remember
to the last couple
do you
times.
remember our last episode 10, Riley?
What was our last episode 10?
You know, the last episode 10 of a Riely and Demigloom podcast. The one other Riely and Demigloom podcast that's ever been made.
What happened on episode 10 of Brony Initiation?
It ended.
Oh. Oh shit. Oh no.
This being the spiritual successor to Brony Initiation, I think it's only fair that we end it on the same episode.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, thank you for 10 episodes, everybody. And I guess it is a particular milestone for this podcast because it's
Because
been
Ellie's
10
gone.
podcasts.
That's why it's a milestone. Because it's the first
Because
episode
it's the first episode without Ellie. We're the
without an
post
Ellie
Ellie
comment.
era.
Yeah. Actually, I
Well,
think the
that was
last
last
episode we didn't have one.
did not have
Yeah.
an Ellie comment, but this is the first episode after Ellie disappeared from the face of the planet. The Ellie comments are gone now.
This literally happened with the last with Brony Initiation too. Calmy. Remember Calmy?
Yeah,
Calmy was our
yeah.
original Ellie. And then Calmy she literally changed her profile picture to just the letter. No. She changed her profile picture to the default YouTube one, and her name was just Q. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you on some QAnon shit? And then she changed it back recently to something else because, of course, I'm so obsessed with my own content that I look back at my old episodes and read the comments. Just remembering the good old days. And I was like, oh shit, that's Kelmy. So yeah, she's alive. So hey, Kelmy, if you're listening to this, hit me up. I want to
Good
role play
job.
again.
Glad you're alive.
I'm single again. We can go back
Oh
to
no.
we can go back to the way things were.
Were you erotically role playing with this person?
Yeah.
Is this real?
Yeah, and somehow the Brony Initiation podcast came up, and that's how
Oh,
she became a fan.
well, there you go, folks.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
I love
Demigloom.
that. I love that the Brony Initiation truth just came out in like the last 2 seconds of this podcast, like a year later.
The truth. Demi, where can our listeners find you on the internet?
Middle School GSA is a quote unquote bi-weekly LGBTQ plus topic based podcast run by me and my leftist pal Felonious Ferris. Check that shit out. Look up Middle School GSA on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor.fm if you're a psychopath, or Apple Podcasts. Check out Middle School GSA. Really good podcast. Me and my bestie Felonious Ferris talk about cool stuff. Including but not limited to LGBTQ plus issues, politics, and I guess anime. Soon we're gonna talk about anime.
Let's go.
Also subscribe to my main YouTube channel, Demigloom. That's DEMIGLOOM for very infrequent but banger uploads that are just like political rants where I rant about politics. If you liked hearing what I had to say about politics on this episode, you're gonna love my main channel, Demigloom. Look up Demigloom, please. Please look up Demigloom. I just want to get monetized. Just look it up.
Well, Demi, you had your chance to just make Demi and the Goons your main channel the moment it got monetized.
I just, I wanted to maintain my artistic freedom, and I truly believe that I made more money off of Demi and the Goons with having not done that than I would have if I did do that. So,
Well, you can just
it's a
do, you can do
monetary,
both.
it's a monetary positive, and it's also a artistic positive overall.
That's
Because
fair.
at the end of the day, when I uploaded when I upload shit that's not like a meme that they like on that channel, it doesn't even get that many views anyway. So it's not like I would get like exponentially more views if I posted that shit on Demi and the Goons. Although it is more attractive, like when you click on a video essay and you look at the channel and they have like 2,000 subs, a million views. But like I just want to keep I want to have a channel that I can recommend to people where they don't have to like what I mean, look for a needle in a haystack. They could just click on see how many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos right now. There's like 5 videos that are up there that are consistently high quality. Well, not high quality, but good, decent. I just want to have a channel where people can look at and see a catalog, a little portfolio of decent scripted content. That's what I've been trying to say. Me sleepy.
Me too.
Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me in a lot of places. But if you go to anchor.fm/Riely Megafeed or the Riely Podcast Megafeed on your platform of choice, first of all, you can find the Powerverse Juice Bar Power Rangers podcast. But in the description of that feed is everything that I do, all of my other podcasts, all of my social media, my YouTube, my Twitch, all of it. So check it out. Go there. Click on all my shit. And that's it. That's the end of the podcast. I've been Riely.
I've been Scott the Wise. You motherfuckers.
There you go. And we'll see you in 2 weeks with more rousing Bedtime podcast content. Goodbye.